Good evening. This is Eduardo Quezada for Syndicated News Network. We are in a year that is important for the future of the United States of America. We're discussing now politics, elections in USA, and we have with us Alfredo Romero. We'll be discussing what the Latino could be doing in these elections. Alfredo, how are you?
I'm doing well, Eduardo. Thanks for having me.
All right. We in this week we know that in California the registration for voters is been closed. So whoever is going to vote in in June 7 is has to be ready for that date. What do you make as of today of this election year? We are hearing right now that Sanders doesn't have a chance. We just read something on a newspaper that in New Jersey, Clinton will be clinching the nomination, and maybe California is out of the game. What do you think?
That's right, Eduardo. June 7th is the final Super Tuesday, if you will. You have several states that are voting, and as you mentioned, as it stands, Hillary Clinton, if you include the super delegates, is less than 80 votes away or 80 elect delegates away from clinching the Democratic nomination. So she could clinch it as early as or as soon as the polls close in New Jersey, or if she happens to need more votes, she could easily do it in Montana or North Dakota, South Dakota, New Mexico, or California, any of the other states that are voting that day.
So that means that Trump and Hillary would be the people we will be voting for in November. What do you think? Is this some sort of how is it saying, the lo menos peor, the worst of two evils? Or what?
Yes, yeah, you're picking the lesser of two evils. I felt like we've had to do that
Uh-huh.
many years, and we've always complained about having to pick the lesser of two evils in a nomination. But we're looking at basically a candidate for the Republican Party that up until a few weeks ago the Republican Party didn't want,
Mm.
and now they're having to embrace him and welcome him and make him the leader. And then we also have a Democratic candidate that wasn't able to beat a one-time senator, a one-term senator from Illinois back 8 years ago when she lost to Obama. So she doesn't necessarily have the popularity that her husband did. So we're looking at two people that really want to win the nomination, but there are a lot of people within their own party that may not want them to.
That's true. And knowing that the world is watching, Alfredo, we may be reaching a point where around the world they will be laughing at the United States if one of those, or both, any of those candidates is elected president of the United States, Hillary
Yes.
and Trump. But what do you think of what I just read in the here it says the media, which means us and newspapers and television and radio, the media must decide whether to follow, and then the name Donald Trump, down the sewer. Is that something that's true, or down the sewer? That's an ugly wording.
It is, and it definitely, the media has definitely latched on to the negative criticisms of Trump and what he's had to say. One of the many conversations that I've had with colleagues and friends of mine is that Donald Trump isn't making this stuff up. The things that he claims to do, whether the hate that he espouses for immigrants or
Muslims.
Muslims, isn't something that he invented. It's something that actually reflects a certain part of the population of the United States. And what I think is most important is not necessarily going directly against Trump, but trying to understand and address these issues within the community that we have in the United States. There are people that feel that way, and that's why they're following.
That is true. I also read that among American citizens, among voters, people that are going to decide, there's discontent. There is they're tired of what the government has been doing. So I guess that tells it all when Donald Trump promises this and that he will do this, that we will do other things that some people are not brave enough to say, especially politicians.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And that actually explains why Bernie Sanders was able to do what he did. And he's going to fall short of the nomination, but he
True.
came really close. And I think a candidate like that a few years ago, last election or the election before, never would have succeeded the way that he did. So I think there's a lot of frustration. I think there's a lot of negativity about what the government has done and what they haven't done. And it's very indicative of that. It's not surprising that somebody like Donald Trump, who's coming in with, what he calls fresh ideas, is succeeding as much as he is.
Okay, Alfredo, I'm going to show you, before we go, I'm going to show you our webpage, and so the people can see where we are going live June 7th and also on November 8th during the general elections. And you can find all the information that we're discussing here with Alfredo on snn.bc. It's easy, just type snn.bc. And we also are on Facebook, where you can find us, and we are going to be doing live shots from now on until the general election. So I'm going to go back to Alfredo. So any final thoughts, Alfredo?
Well, the other thing that I think is important to note is that this November election isn't just about the president. It's also about the Congress, your representatives and your senators, and even your local elections. So I think it's important to keep in mind that when you go and vote for your favorite candidate, whoever that might be, you also should pay attention to who the next senator is going to be for your state, who your representative is going to be, because we've had a lot of gridlock in the government recently, and the only way to avoid that is to pick people who are willing to work and willing to actually make some progress. So that's something to keep in mind before the next primary, and definitely before the next election.
Thank you, Alfredo. I thank you very much, and we'll see you next week. Maybe we can discuss more things also after June 7th.
Absolutely. Gracias, Eduardo.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. This is Eduardo Quezada for Syndicated News Network. See you next time.